Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Caregiver Question of the Week. Today we're going to be talking about what is arguably the most common question or concern that I get submitted to me, both from the non-medical professional caregivers that I serve through Higher Standards Caregiver Training, as well as family caregivers. So the question has to do with fear of someone falling, and it actually falls into a couple of different kind of buckets of that concern, and we're going to talk a little bit about both of those today. But first, my name is Amelia. I'm an occupational therapist. I'm also the owner and founder of Higher Standards Caregiver Training, as well as the very proud co-founder of WCN University, that's Whole Care Network University. This is also for educational purposes only, y'all. So if anything that I say reminds you of something or someone that you think needs to be seen by a therapist or another licensed healthcare provider, then please make sure you're advocating for that, as this is not a substitute for health or medical advice, and it is not a substitute for a therapeutic relationship. It is for education. Okay, so let's dive right into this here. So by far, the most common fear, the most common concern that people share with me, that they ask me about, is this fear of someone falling, of someone that they are caring for falling. And like I said, that generally falls into two different kinds of buckets. The first bucket is for people who are providing hands-on care. And largely, people who are providing hands-on care tend to be asking questions, tend to have concerns or fears of someone falling during a transfer. So we're going to talk a little bit about transfers and transfer safety and how to really think about making a transfer safe. The second bucket has to do with family caregivers who are caring for someone at a distance. They're not with them all the time. They're not actively in the house providing hands-on care, but they're afraid of the person that they're caring for or their loved one falling, especially while no one is there. So we're going to talk about both of those things a little bit here today. Okay, so let's get into the fear of falling during transfers first. And I should really say, obviously, there are a ton of different transfer scenarios. By the way, if you are submitting a transfer question to me via Caregiver Question of the Week, the more specific you can make it, the more helpful I can actually be in my answer, because there are so many different kind of factors and scenarios and things to think about during transfers. But I think the best way that I can be helpful in kind of answering this general question that comes in all the time is really to talk about the three principles that I think of as a professional, as an occupational therapist, when I am planning for a safe transfer with someone. So the first one is the question that I ask myself, which is, am I capable of providing the correct amount of support to this person for the transfer? Can I give them all the support that they need, or do I need to get extra assistance in order to provide that proper level of support? And is that available to me? The second question is a good follow-up to the first, which is, do I have all the equipment that I need in order to provide that support and to successfully help someone with this transfer, getting from one place to another? And the third question is, this isn't really a question, but the third principle is, what's the plan? Do I have a plan for this? And you have to have a plan. I said it was a principle, not a question, and then I asked like two questions. Forgive me. Anyway, you get the point. The third principle is that you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan both for getting the person to the surface they need to go to in that moment. You need to have a plan to return them from that surface, to properly assist them both to and from, so the transfer to and the return transfer. You have to have a plan for both of those things. You need to make sure you have everything in place, and you need to communicate that plan before you lay hands on anyone. We have to have that communication as much as possible with the person that we're caring for. And kind of no matter what the transfer situation is, no matter what the scenario is, those are the three key principles that really have to be they have to be answered, they have to be in place. We have to understand them in order to make sure a transfer is going to be successful. If if you fall in that bucket and you are worried specifically about transfers, I should say there is a ton. I have so many transfer training courses at Higher Standards Caregiver Training, covering all kinds of different scenarios, things from very, very basic transfers with walkers, how to use a gait belt, protecting your back, all the way up to much more complex situations, things like transferring people who can't bear weight, transferring people who need multiple people to assist, using a mechanical or an electric lift in order to do transfers. So point being, there are a ton of courses there for you if you are having specific concerns about transfers. So I would encourage you to go look and see what there is, see if there's something that can help to address the worry that maybe you're having. And if you don't see that, shout me out, tell me. I can't think of any of the words for social media right now. Tag me. That's what I'm looking for. Tag me, let me know, so that I can remedy that situation for you and maybe also answer your question on Caregiver Question of the Week. Okay, second bucket. We're now going to be talking about this very legitimate and reasonable fear of someone falling when you're not there with them providing hands-on care. So again, a lot of times this is family caregivers who maybe they live in a different state, or maybe they just live down the street. They're not in the home with someone, and so they're worried about someone falling when they're there on their own. So what can we actually do about this? One of the most powerful things that we can do is we can advocate for early intervention, and we can advocate for prevention of those falls from happening. We don't want to wait until someone already starts falling or it becomes so obvious that they're a fall risk that then they get some intervention. We want to be able to advocate effectively for them to get intervention early. So in order to do that, we do need to understand what some of the signs are, some of the early warning signs are that someone is having an increased fall risk. And I want to share one of those with you here today. This is probably it's one of the most common ones. We see it all the time. It's absolutely something that I am laser focused on looking out for when I'm seeing someone as their therapist, as an occupational therapist. And that is this phenomenon of, we call it plopping, right? Where someone basically, they fall the last bit of the way. So they go, and then they fall the last bit of the way onto the bed, into the chair, into the wheelchair, onto the toilet, whatever it is. Not having a full controlled sit, but rather, having a plop. And really, truly, I define this as a fall. It's just not a fall to the floor, right? No one's landing on the floor. But the fact is, it is uncontrolled. It is a descent, and they are landing somewhere. It just happens to not be on the floor, thank goodness, in that moment. But this is a really early warning sign that someone is having trouble getting up and down, that maybe they have a mobility issue, and that's a great time. I mean, it's not great that someone is having that issue, obviously, but it's a great time to step in and advocate for that person to see a therapist, talk to their doctor, get the healthcare team involved so that early intervention can be provided. Well, obviously, this is just one warning sign. If we were to go through everything, listen, I could legit teach a multi-semester graduate level course on falls and fall prevention, but that's not what we can do. That's not what we're here for at Caregiver Question of the Week. We want to I want to provide short bits of helpful information to people. That said, sometimes we do need more. So that's why I am doing the Fall Prevention for Family Caregivers series over the next couple of months here. The first event is coming up next Friday. It's at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we're going to be going over really a comprehensive list of the signs and symptoms that someone is at risk of falling, so that if you're a family caregiver, if you're in that second bucket, you're worried about someone that you love falling, you can help advocate for them to get what they need early on from their healthcare team so that they don't have a fall in the first place. So I will drop the registration link in for that in with the comments, along with, of course, the link to submit your caregiver question of the week. Registration for that event is only $11. So it's going to be a ton of super valuable information. And you're also going to get a fall risk checklist along with that, which is so stinking valuable if you need to advocate for the person that you're caring for to get early intervention. You need to go be able to have a conversation with a doctor and say, hey, I think we need help. I think that we are at risk of having a fall. It's a really easy way to say, these are the reasons why, basically, and make a strong case to get what you need, to get services for whatever. Okay, that's it for this week's caregiver question of the week. It was kind of a longer one. I appreciate you hanging in there with me till the end. But like I said, it's a big topic. I want to try and make sure that I'm providing information that is genuinely helpful, to get people, whatever you need, get you started on the right foot. Yeah. Okay. So you can submit your caregiver question to me. Just go ahead and tag me, or you can submit anonymously using the link. You can also, that I'm going to post in the comments, you can also register you can also register for the first Family Caregiver Fall Prevention event, which is all about signs and symptoms that someone is at risk of falling. Until next week, guys, I will see you later. Take care. Bye.